Welcome back. I'm in the Atacama Desert in northern Chile, considered to be the driest place on Earth. No other country in the world has a more advanced water market than Chile. In theory, it leads to extremely efficient distribution of a scarce resource. In practice, it leaves a lot of people unhappy. For the residents of Quiagua, rain is something they've never seen. Located deep in the desert, this small town has never had a drop of recorded rainfall. There used to be a river here. Now it's nothing but mudflats because a previous generation sold off their water rights to the mining industry. Miguel Paredes Suarez tells me sadly that those who sold their water rights are now in the cemetery, and he and the younger generation were left behind with nothing, no jobs. His town is dying, filled only with the elderly and abandoned houses. To understand how this happened, you have to understand how this country manages its water. Very little in the north, very abundant in the south. In Chile, the rights of nearly every drop of water are for sale. Landowners sell them to bring in revenue, entrepreneurs buy them to start businesses, and some are just speculators. They buy the rights hoping the price will just go up. When you open up the paper, you'll even see classified ads from people selling or hoping to buy water rights. Chile takes such a commercialized view of water, it spawned a new occupation there. Water real estate agents. Like Sandra Vilches Brevis. She works in the southern part of Chile, where, contrary to the north, water is everywhere.
We charge 5% plus tax for each transaction to the buyer and 5% to the seller. So it's a very good business.
In Chile, if you own a piece of land that has water on it, you can sell the rights to that water without selling the land itself. Conversely, you can buy access to the water without buying the land. How much has the price of water climbed in the last 10 years?
About double.
It's doubled in the last 10 years in Chile.
About double.
Sandra's client, Claudio Viancos, hopes to make $1 million US, selling the rights to a river running through the mountainous land she owns in the southern part of the country.
I need the money. I'm a widow, and by selling these rights, I can take care of my 3 children.
Claudia's water has strong flow and several high drop-offs, making it attractive for electric companies who can use it to generate power. Just like any real estate agent, when someone wants to sell their water rights, Sandra does an appraisal, noting temperature and location with a GPS tracker. She sends a sample off for an analysis to measure the level of oxygen and minerals.
Because there are some water rights that nobody will buy because you can't do anything with them. So that's worthless.
Besides power companies, the other huge buyer of water rights in Chile, fish farmers like Francisco Este, who are feeding the growing demand for salmon and trout throughout the world. How important is water to your business?
The water is essential.
Is it good or bad to have a market for water?
It's good.
Is it more efficient?
Absolutely.
Yes?
Yes.
A market is more efficient than the government?
Absolutely.
Members of the government are exceptionally proud of Chile's water markets and say it is precisely because water is so commercialized that even their poorest citizens have access to it. 100% of the population in the cities and 75% in the countryside, making Chile a standout in Latin America. Does the system work well?
Yes, it has worked very well. The system that is best for protecting the water resource is a system based on market.
Has Chile done better than the rest of the world?
Yes, Chile has done better. I think that, for example, the rest of Latin America has percentage of coverage that we had 30 years ago.
A number of countries around the world are following Chile's example. And Bruce Babbitt, former Secretary of the Interior under President Clinton, says the United States should inject more of a market mechanism into its water system to deal with the crisis developing in the West.
In most of these communities, there ought to be more market flexibility in moving water. But it is ultimately a political decision.
Critics of market privatization say that the market is not the answer, that because water is so crucial, government must be the one to decide its distribution.
The best way to do it is to have our policymakers actually look at the allocation of water resources because it's a public good and make the decisions about the most beneficial uses. I don't think that water pricing is going to solve our water problems, and it's certainly not going to solve our issues around the way that we produce food.
She and other experts believe that there are some crops that use too much water, yet don't produce enough value.
Think about different kinds of crops. It may not be the best place to grow rice and cotton and alfalfa, and instead maybe we'll see more, and we're already seeing more, fruits and high-valued vegetables.
That is exactly what has happened in Chile. In many parts of the country, they are now growing more fruits and vegetables, which have become a huge export to the United States. But in the desert region of the north, the copper mining industry dominates. Proof, according to Chile's director of water, the system is working as planned. Why is a market any good? Why would Chile choose a market for water rather than the government?
Because we think that people distribute the water in a more efficient way than the state.
That's pretty revolutionary in most of the world, you know.
Yeah, but I think that in Chile it works.
Still, would you say that agriculture use has gone down as mining has gone up in the north?
Yeah.
That's a trade-off that you accept?
Yeah, it's a trade-off.
Back in Chiagua, Miguel understands that trade-off because he lives with it every day. He can no longer grow alfalfa after his father sold off their family's water rights 20 years ago.
One drop of water is more valuable to the mines than it is to the towns because we don't export anything.
Now the few remaining residents, there are only 150 of them, down from 700, depend on a daily water truck delivery. It brings in 5,000 gallons of the precious commodity, essential for the town's survival. In this case, water truly is life, but it's a way of life that will likely disappear as the last generation of Chiagua dies off.
Up next, the booming business of bottled water.
It climbed 6, 5, 4, 3, and today is the #2 beverage category in the United States.
And why that has comedian Louis Black all fired up.
It wasn't enough for us to have clean water coming to our homes. We want to put water in bottles, plastic bottles especially.
Liquid assets, the big business of water. We'll be right back.
Take a pledge to make a difference for education. Visit